Genesis chapter 30. And Rachel, having seen that she bore no children to Jacob, envied her sister and said to Jacob, "Give me children, and if not, I shall die." And Jacob was angry with Rachel and said to her, "Am I in the place of God, who has deprived thee of the fruit of the womb?" And she said to him, "Behold my maid Bala. Go into her, and she shall bear upon my knees, and I also shall have children by her." And she gave him Bala her maid for a wife, and Jacob went into her. And Bala conceived, and bore Jacob a son. And Rachel said, "God has judged me, and heard my voice, and given me a son." Therefore she called his name Dan. And Bala Rachel's maid conceived again, and bore Jacob a second son. And Rachel said, "God has helped me, and I have prevailed against my sister." And she called his name Nephthalim. And Leah, having seen that she ceased bearing, took Zilpah her maid, and gave her to Jacob for a wife. And Zilpah Leah's maid bore Jacob a son. And Leah said, "A troop comes," and she called his name Gad. And Zilpah Leah's maid bore Jacob a second son. And Leah said, "I am blessed, for the women will pronounce me blessed." And she called his name Aser. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found apples of mandrakes in the field, and brought them to his mother Leah. And Rachel said to Leah, "Give me some of thy son's mandrakes." And Leah said, "Is it a small thing for thee to have taken my husband, and wilt thou also take my son's mandrakes?" And Rachel said, "Therefore he shall sleep with thee this night for thy son's mandrakes." And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, "Thou shalt come in unto me this day, for I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes." And he lay with her that night. And God hearkened to Leah, and she conceived, and bore Jacob a fifth son. And Leah said, "God has given me my reward, because I gave my maid to my husband." And she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again, and bore Jacob a sixth son. And Leah said, "God has endowed me with a good dowry. This time my husband will choose me, for I have borne him 6 sons." And she called his name Zabulon. And after this she bore a daughter, and called her name Dinah. And God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened to her, and opened her womb. And she conceived, and bore Jacob a son, and said, "God has taken away reproach." And she called his name Joseph, saying, "The Lord shall add to me another son." And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said to Laban, "Send me away, that I may depart to my place and to my land. Restore my wives and my children, for whom I have served thee, that I may depart, for thou knowest the service which I have served thee." And Laban said to him, "If I have found grace in thy sight, I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of thee." And he said, "Appoint me thy wages, and I will give it." And Jacob said to him, "Thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle were with me. For it was little which thou hadst before me, and it has increased to a multitude. And the Lord has blessed thee since my coming. And now when shall I also provide for my own house?" And he said, "What shall I give thee?" And Jacob said, "Thou shalt give me nothing. If thou wilt do for me this thing, I will again feed and keep thy flock. Let all the speckled and spotted cattle pass before me among thy sheep this day, and every dark one among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats. These shall be my wages, and my righteousness shall answer for me in time to come. When my wages shall come before thee, every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and dark among the sheep, shall be counted stolen with me." And Laban said, "Let it be according to thy word." And he separated in that day the spotted and speckled he-goats, and all the spotted and speckled she-goats, every one which had white in it, and every dark one among the sheep, and he gave them into the hands of his sons. And he set a distance of 3 days' journey between them and Jacob, and Jacob fed the rest of the sheep of Laban. And Jacob took to himself rods of green poplar and almond and plane tree, and peeled in them white streaks, making the white appear which was in the rods. And he set the rods which he had peeled before the sheep in the troughs of water, that when the sheep came to drink, they might conceive at the rods. And the sheep conceived before the rods, and the sheep brought forth speckled and spotted and marked. And Jacob separated the lambs, and set the faces of the sheep toward the spotted, and all the dark among the sheep of Laban. And he set his own flocks by themselves, and did not put them among the sheep of Laban. And it came to pass in whatsoever time the strong cattle conceived, that Jacob put the rods before the cattle in the troughs, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the cattle were feeble, he did not put them in. So the feeble were Laban's, and the strong Jacob's. And the man became very rich, and he had many cattle, and men servants, and maidservants, camels and asses. That concludes this chapter. Please click Next to continue.